Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and Logan Paul is a full-on scumbag, suing the good friends of our channel on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, coffeezilla is a good friend of the channel, good personal buddy, and this is a situation where about a month and a half ago, when we were laughing about Fatty Token, me and him were in the middle of a call, and he had basically had to jump off because he was being sued by one of YouTube's most largest channels on the internet, one of the biggest internet personalities, wrestler, athlete, entertainer, whatever, Logan Paul. Now, Logan Paul is one of those infamous characters who's been, basically involved in the most shadiest scandals on the internet, whether it be, exploring Japanese forests, okay, or engaging himself with cryptocurrency shenanigans. Crypto Zoo was by large one of the biggest projects that he was in on. Now, for a quick history, obviously, if you look back into projects like Dink Doink, right? Yes, the websites aren't accessible anymore unless you go through the Wayback Machine archives, but you can find what is a representation of Logan Paul in the South Park font standing next to a truck that you would find in 2003 Newgrounds. And as you go down over here, it's a community with cartoons, memes, and good times. A decentralized IP with a massive roadmap, one that was apparently going to involve a movie. Did the movie ever come? No. Did season 2 ever come? No. Of course, with a lot of these crypto projects, nothing really actually comes at all. But then again, ladies and gentlemen, according to, Logan Paul as a tweet, this is the dumbest, most ridiculous shitcoin I've ever seen. And that's why I'm all in to the moon. You have a quote from Logan Paul's biggest ball washer? What in the world is happening here? I too want to know the answer to it. And obviously, if you look at the Dink Doink community now, you might find out that, yeah, it's completely dead as hell, all right? Their community is dropping in memes from 2 years ago with SpongeBob being serenaded by Squidward. This is a scam. Peel open the skin. Slopes for the slope god. Look at that drop right there. I love that average 99% loss on these stupid projects. So yeah, if you go to their official page right here, whoa, May 12, 2022 is the last time we ever heard from them, ladies and gentlemen. We are hard at work on season 2 over here at Dink Doink. Yeah, I wonder when that's gonna come. I'm gonna wager Grand Theft Auto 7 would drop faster than Dink Doink season 2. But we'll just leave it right there where it's at. Now, obviously, one of the other big projects that Logan Paul was clearly involved in, the one that we want to talk about, is Crypto Zoo. So join the most exciting crypto game and community, hatch eggs, breed animals, play with hybrids, earn money or yield in, zoo token, collect NFTs, and bring them all into the real world. Now, this game never really went anywhere, okay, to the point where it basically became part of a massive investigation by coffeezilla. And, down the road, Logan Paul had even apologized to coffeezilla and the people investigating this, and at one point offered a partial refund from Logan Paul. A refund so fucking terrible that I believe, in a personal level, that it was only designed to take the heat off of an actual current lawsuit that he was involved in. Now, if you're interested in the process of that class action lawsuit with the victims of Crypto Zoo, the alleged victims of Crypto Zoo, and Logan Paul, then he provided one option to buy back, the egg NFT buyback, which obviously isn't available anymore. But from a video that I made 7 months ago, when it was available, you could see that when it came to this entire refund, one of the big points was the waiver of claims and release, where by accepting the terms, you acknowledge and agree that you are waiving any actual or anticipated claims against Paul, as well as against any related personnel, affiliates, agents, partners, employees, service providers, or representatives for monetary or equitable relief arising out or in connection with Crypto Zoo, including but not limited to this buyback, your purchase of any Zoo tokens, and or your purchase of any Crypto Zoo NFT. So yeah, it literally is one of the most minimal refunds that he could have provided. I mean, the fact that he provided a refund at all shows me that maybe the devil sometimes has a day where he wakes up on the right side of the bed. But yeah, reading through this, it was the most minimum refund that I personally feel Logan Paul could have offered, just to stave off as much bad press as he was getting from these, class action lawsuits that were kicking in. Now, obviously, coffeezilla made a video a day ago where he actually talked about him getting sued by Logan Paul. And I have seen this actual lawsuit kick in around the time, when Coffee and I were originally calling. And this wasn't even, a private thing. I believe at the time TMZ broke this story literally 15 minutes before he had mentioned it to me in the call. So at that moment in time, I was like, whoa, goddamn, they've got the court scanners ready for Logan. So inside this actual case over here, you can see that according to the complaint, which is between plaintiff Logan Paul and CoffeeZilla's production company, or CoffeeZilla, plaintiff Logan Paul, a globally recognized entertainer, athlete, and entrepreneur, brings this defamation action against defendant, a self-described internet investigative journalist and detective with no actual journalism training or a private investigator's license. It's always great when you start it off with no actual journalism training, as if that somehow makes a journalist, a journalist, right? Especially in a field when I feel like most people who don't really have that quote-unquote actual training are actually doing more impressive work than even the journalists. But that's a whole different point. So starting when he released a 3-part YouTube series in December 2022 and continuing into the present, CoffeeZilla has perpetuated the false narrative that Paul scammed and defrauded his own fans in connection with the project. CoffeeZilla has perpetuated this false narrative despite knowing it to be completely and utterly false. Now, I always never understood this point right here, knowing it to be completely and utterly false. And reading through this entire 51 pages, I have not found one actual piece of salient proof that shows that Coffee knew from the beginning of his investigation that this was going to be completely and utterly false. To make a claim like that, you have to have some correspondence, I would imagine, that would say, hey guys, I know that Logan isn't guilty of this CryptoZoo shenanigan, but I'm going to make 3 big videos just to destroy their character. You have to have something pretty much that hardcore, I would say. I would have to imagine. But to go in further into this entire, lawsuit, it is one that is very much relegated towards, making sure that Logan Paul isn't really held accountable, at least in my opinion. Now, to rewind back, well, obviously when Logan Paul responded to Coffee's initial video, he had basically mentioned that a whole bunch of people on his team were actually the ones that were misleading him and had basically taken over this project and, in a way, defrauded the audience. And it wasn't really Logan. He was the one who also got scammed in a way, according to his side of the events, roughly. So at this moment in time, anytime you search the word accountable, it's never really mentioned towards Logan Paul. It's actually mentioned in this lawsuit that Paul brings this up to hold CoffeeZilla accountable for the actions and to hold him liable for the immense harm that is caused to Paul's reputation. Which is insane because even during the CryptoZoo era and just before that, many people were calling Logan Paul out for crypto scams that weren't even related to this project at all. So really, what reputation? And what loss of money even? When it comes to a defamation suit, I want to just bring up one thing. And I'm not a lawyer, by the way, so again, take what I say with a grain of salt. But I am somebody who has had to face the prospect, and still does, of possible defamation lawsuits. So defamation, according to the Cornell Law School, is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. So it could be libel, which is written, or slander, which is spoken. So state common law and statutory law governs defamation actions, and each state varies in their standards for defamations and the damages that, potentially can exist. But one important aspect of this is New York Times versus Sullivan, where a police chief brought a defamation claim regarding a newspaper that the Supreme Court held that for a public official to succeed on a defamation claim, the public official plaintiff must show that a false, defaming statements were said with actual malice. The Sullivan Court noted that the threat relaxed defamatory statements could pose to First Amendment freedom of speech. And given the especial importance of being able to question government officials, the court found the state's libelous per se standard to not satisfy First Amendment protections as it relates to public officials. So obviously related right there. But the Sullivan Court stated that actual malice means that the defendant said that defamatory statement with knowledge that it was false or with reckless disregard to whether it was false or not. So to whittle it on back to the initial point over here, let's just go over the defamation ideas, right? So when you're defaming somebody, you're basically throwing their reputation under the bus, you're causing harm to their character, their brand. When it comes to monetary damages, at least in Logan Paul's case, what monetary damages? If anything, Logan is far richer than he's ever been, even at the time of covering the CryptoZoo stuff or when that investigation began. And the other thing is, obviously, when you look at the Sullivan Court where they said actual malice, so did you say it with knowledge, or with reckless disregard. So basically, if you are researching something and you make a claim, then it is up to a court, it is up to the plaintiff to argue that you said these actual claims with, actual knowledge that what you were saying was false. If you had no proof of saying that the party defaming you, quote unquote, knew about the actual facts, or they were just working with the knowledge they had at the time that led them to believe, what they were saying was true, then is it really defamation? And when it comes to reckless disregard, when we reach out to people for calls and interviews, like for instance, when I was doing the completionist stuff with Carl Jobst, reaching out to the parties, whether it be with email or getting them on phones and calling them and having a conversation, that is getting rid of the reckless disregard. So throughout this entire post right over here, Paul brings up the Japanese vlogs, and one of the things was the blowback took a toll on Paul's own mental health as he attempted to reevaluate himself and his decision-making. Paul not only lost lucrative opportunities, but also valued personal friendship relationships. Almost overnight, he went from being a well-loved rising star with a flourishing brand to what felt like the most hated person in the world. So what's really funny about all of this is he gives this history right here, in the factual allegations, but they really don't have anything to do with the CryptoZoo stuff. This is well before anything related to even these crypto shenanigans. Now, when it comes to reckless disregard, right, and obviously somebody being malicious in this case, it also appears that Logan himself doesn't believe that, Coffee was malicious. If you actually listen to a podcast or a show that he did with a YouTuber known as Graham Bensinger. So towards the 33-minute part where he's talking about CryptoZoo and Jeff Levin, this is what he actually had to say about coffeezilla.
Coffeezilla, who's incredible, by the way. A very thorough, good-hearted, smart guy.
Whoa, hold on. A good-hearted, smart guy? Whoa, doesn't really sound defamatory to me. It seems like, when it comes to his own defamation case, it might be Logan undoing it for everyone else. So in one of the actual points here, Feinstein's Coffeezilla's allegations that Paul had wiped his hands of and abandoned the project was also false. Paul's teams tried to get the project back on track all the way up until the release of the CryptoZoo series that CoffeeZilla made. In fact, Paul's team ultimately was able to successfully complete the development of the game in 2023, only to eventually realize that its release was not feasible for regulatory reasons that Paul had never previously been apprised. So again, it's a situation where, it's like, how do you not know about this? How is it that the people you work with are ultimately throwing you under the bus? What is actually happening? How did you not perceive that you were working in this highly evolving industry and not think for a second when you mixed money and video games together that there wasn't going to be a regulatory action that would have prevented your game from coming out or would have hindered the process of it? It's insane. It's like a lot of this lawsuit exists to basically say everyone else but Logan Paul was basically guilty, and Logan was just a complete and utter buffoon operating in a field that he should have understood more before he even dipped his toes and bank account into it. So where he brings up the claims for relief, okay, Paul repeats, realleges, and incorporates the above paragraphs as though fully set here forthwith. So what he brings up is one tweet that got viewed 6.5 million times, and of course, if you look at that actual tweet, you'll see that the tweet says Logan Paul really is the type of dude to thank you when you expose his scam, then block you when you remind him to pay up. Yeah, he does actually do a whole lot of blocking when you call him out for stupid behaviors. But yeah, that was one of the things that was brought up in the prayer, so that one tweet. Based on what Coffee had said, that it wasn't really even a defamation case based on the original investigation. It was actually based more so on things that came well after the fact. So in another video that he hits was Logan Paul's Scam Isn't Over, directly accusing Logan Paul of intentionally defrauding people via scam business. The opening lines of the video refers to CryptoZoo as a scam created by Logan Paul. CoffeeZilla left no doubt that he was accusing Paul of intentionally defrauding individuals who bought eggs NFTs or Zoo tokens by referring to those people as Logan Paul's victims. Just declaring to his audience that Paul was guilty and his offer to reimburse buyers of egg NFT was an admission of guilt. So the other third one was a video where he titled it Logan Paul's Refund, right? Where the video was viewed 5.1 million times. I mean, it's important for a defamation case to show how much the video has spread and how much virality it gotten, just so you can request the appropriate damages per se. And like watching that video, it really is one of those refunds that not only did, Steven make the video, but plenty of YouTubers did, me included, where we actually talked about, yeah, this is a refund, but it was about the most minimum refund that he could really provide. And it also became a situation where, he really did appear to actually take away or waive away rights for a possible lawsuit against him. So I don't really know what Logan Paul is hitting up for that other than, being called out on giving a shitty refund. I mean, are you serious? So what he's asking for is actual and compensatory damages, punitive damages, and of course, whatever relief the court alleges. And here he's hired 5 fucking lawyers where instead of, even considering paying back, and making people whole for the actual project that he put himself into. It is insane what level Logan will go to avoid accountability. He's not learned to be accountable. He's just doing whatever he can to get away from this scot-free as possible. Now look, maybe CryptoZoo is still on track to release. I don't know. Who actually knows at this point, okay? Who really can honestly know? But it doesn't really seem good for Logan Paul because in reality, what coffeezilla exposed in this video was 2 things that really hit me in the worst way imaginable. For one, he basically says that his legal insurance isn't exactly going to help him. So effectively, he had creator insurance like legal insurance where, hey, if somebody was to sue you, you go to your insurance company, you make a claim, and boom, everything should be done. Because his his insurance company isn't helping him out, what Coffee has to do is fight this with their own personal funds. So in that, he's actually started selling merch, basically to help raise up money in order to fight this, battle. Which, again, anybody would need. Legal costs are expensive. And I'll tell you guys something that we've done here at Some Ordinary Gamers when it comes to doing an investigation and knowing that full well we're going up with actual people with bank accounts. And a lot of that comes out to, A, making sure you're not making, defamatory claims in the first place. Anytime I make a video, it goes through severe vetting, both by me, by legal, and it makes sure that when the video goes out, I've not made a claim that I can't substantially back up in a court if I'm pressed against the wall. The other thing is, obviously, when it comes to money, have insurance. Now, at least in Coffee's case, the insurance found any way possible to get out of paying them, which doesn't surprise me. A lot of insurance companies will do it, whether you go with life insurance, health insurance, car insurance, whatever. If the company can find some underwritten fine print to get out of it, they will. Simple as that. And obviously with a claim that big, it is in their benefit to find a way out. So obviously, have good insurance, make sure you have good insurance, but also, make sure that your companies or your, money structure isn't held in a way where if you do get sued, all of your money is held up. That's why you have an operating, holding business model where you can actually just have your money squared away. So when you need to fight, you can't get sued for whatever is in your actual holdings at the time. Now, the other actual thing about it is have money to fight back. Obviously, getting threatened to be sued, it's not an easy thing, and it's not something good. What happened to Steven here is he's being sued, I believe, in the federal court of Texas. And inside that court is no anti-SLAPP laws, right? So anti-SLAPP, for anybody that doesn't know, is when you come with frivolous lawsuits, especially like what this appears to be, you can effectively use those motions to slap these out and, get whatever money you want back, from my understanding. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Please listen to a lawyer when, talking about this. But when it comes to him being sued, this lawsuit, from my perspective, appears to only exist to harm Steven coffeezilla for all the money that he has. And obviously, Logan Paul's got a lot of that money. If Logan wants to take any of us to court, he probably can and make us destitute. And that's the ultimate goal of this. It's not winning a lawsuit. It's not even trying to win this defamation case and bring back whatever lost reputation. In my opinion, it exists solely to shut people like coffeezilla up. And honestly, as somebody that is in that same sphere that likes to cover, some of the worst unsavory things that, influencers can do financially, I really feel that this is absolutely a battle that needs to be fought by the community against Logan Paul. People suing each other is not something that I'm saying can't ever happen for no good reason, obviously. But when it comes to a situation like this, Logan is effectively just a bully. Like, that's all he is. And the only way to fight against a bully like Logan Paul is to quite literally financially bully him back. So at that moment in time, I would like to just obviously just stress, if you want to help Steven out, the best way you can do possible is buy that merch from him, right? And I'll probably leave like a pinned description or something in this video to help go towards that, because honestly, any money is important. I've known when going to lawyers talking about, defamation cases, it can be very expensive. And yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it right where that is. So the final point for this for me is one of the things that, me and everyone was basically looking into if you're interested in, creator financial kerfuffles. Now, one of the things that Coffee had asked for with Logan Paul in regards to a comment in his video was something regarding Liquid Marketplace. Now, this is something that came out in June 24th this year, where the OSCs, which is the Ontario Security Commission, so my province, by the way, accused Liquid Marketplace of fraud and pursues action against the startup and the top executives. So the leaders of Logan Paul's co-founded NFT marketplace allegedly used $3 million from investors for personal enrichment. Now, this was a story that he had asked Logan Paul, when they were talking about things like embezzlement, right? Which obviously, I want to stress by saying Logan Paul is not being accused by the OSC of any of this. In fact, it's literally just targeting some of the top executives, which we'll get to real quick. Now, Liquid Marketplace, for anybody that doesn't know, was an actual marketplace where you can basically purchase or co-purchase by fractional, reserves of assets, like, these, trading cards, for instance. So this one, like, Illustrator Pokemon card, if you try to buy it now, obviously that isn't accessible. 404, page not found. It seems like a lot of these projects that Logan works on just seem to fucking crash for no reason. It's insane. So even when this whole boom was starting, one of the people behind it, all right, who, is known as Ryan Bahadouri, the CEO of Liquid Marketplace, ended up even talking a little closer. He said Liquid Marketplace doesn't deal in securities, unlike some of its competitors, who Bahadouri says buys assets, places them in shell companies, and then sells shares in said companies to investors. Liquid Marketplace does not directly buy or sell any of the assets sold on its platforms. They just have legal teams in the US and Canada that are of the very strong opinion that we are not selling securities because collectibles are not securities. That's what their legal pretty much says. Anyways, to get back into it, the Ontario Securities Commission decided to go after them, and this is what they had to say. The matter involves a multi-layered fraud in the crypto asset sector. The Liquid Marketplace business promotes and sells crypto assets that purportedly represent fractional ownership of valuable collectibles. The collectibles include trading cards and digital assets. So to get to the actual real allegations, what they said that LMP and the principals, so again, what appears to be that the principals are Ryan Bahadouri, Amin and Dennis Domazet, Amin Nickdell. These are the principals, and you got two corporations, Liquid Marketplace Inc. and Liquid Marketplace Corporations. They have perpetrated, allegedly, a fraud on investors in two ways. First, the respondents raised over $10 million by selling common shares and promissory notes in LMP to investors located primarily in Canada and the US. So, from these funds, the respondents misappropriated approximately $3 million, including through hidden payments to shell companies for the personal enrichment of those principals. Second, approximately $2.7 million has been obtained by LMP from the sale of LMP tokens and the purchasers. Bahadouri and Nickdell made false and misleading statements to token purchasers, including that LMP tokens represent legal ownership in underlying collectibles. In addition, LMP sold and facilitated the trading of LMP tokens without complying in the prospectus and registration requirements of the Act. So at least when it comes to one person, Ryan Bahadouri, he was alleged to have used the credit cards and the funds from LMP to pay for nearly $500,000 worth of personal expenses, including high-end fashion, expensive jewelry and watches, personal health, and luxury spa services. These personal expenses were accounted for as loans from LMP to Bahadouri and his Cooney company. Bahadouri did not repay LMP for any of his personal spending loans. Instead, many of the personal expenditures were written off by periodically offsetting them against amounts purportedly owing to Bahadouri's Cooney company. So yeah, this is obviously, an alleged massive fraud that the Ontario Security Commission is putting towards them. And the thing about this is, obviously it's very weird how Coffee gets this lawsuit, basically getting him to shut up when he starts to effectively ask for comment on the story. Now, I don't think anybody should stop looking into it, because here's the weird thing, right? Obviously, Logan Paul is not being alleged in the story. But from a personal perspective, Logan is, basically aligning himself in another case with people that are known or at least alleged to be very unsavory. And here's the thing, it's not as if Logan is a complete idiot. Reminder to go back to his 7-minute response to CoffeeZilla's allegation when it came to CryptoZoo initially. He had basically thrown one of the developers, Z, under the bus and mentioned them by name.
Name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies, one for aggravated robbery, armed robbery at a liquor store, and the other for, surprise, obstructing the legal process. I can see.
So when he throws this out there, at the time, literally no one knew about this Zach Kelling and their legal background, to the point where even I, immediately started Googling for this, didn't find anything. What I did was I went right to Zach Kelling and I decided to ask him about this whole situation. And Zach had responded to me and basically said, my record is expunged. I can confirm Logan lied in his latest video about multiple things, something I did as a teenager 20 years ago, not super relevant in this context. So when I asked what Logan lied about, it said it's boggling how he discovered your expunged record. It's reckless defamation. He doesn't even know what he's saying. Robbed a liquor store? I didn't rob a liquor store. Stole code? No, you refused to pay anything after leading on a team of 30 people. 3 people, lol. Cherry picks, lies, manipulates outrights, just wrong. You can't even Google Zach Kelling and mugshot and find anything. I've had it removed everywhere. 20 years ago, teenage mistakes, not relevant for 20 plus years. So while this is another person's side of the story, it shows, at least to me, that Logan and whoever his direct team is knows exactly how to do a background check on people. And so this idea of, oh man, I'm just a fucking idiot and everyone around me, Eddie Ibanez, all these crazy people, Jake the Crypto King, are the real bad guys. Dog, you are not stupid. You are smart enough to know the people you surround yourself with are not good individuals. Yet you keep getting into business with them, and this is what happens. Look, to go to the liquid marketplace, I'm not going to say that Logan is the one guilty of breaking a lot of these laws. He's not even being alleged by the Ontario Securities Commission. However, it was his face that was used to promote a lot of these projects. And ultimately, a lot of his fans and the people, that follow him tooth and nail, to the ends of the earth are the ones jumping into these, enterprises and allegedly being harmed. And if you want to really go back to the original person that put them in that lion's den, it is this guy. It's one of the reasons why people went hard on Boogie 2988. Tons of people launch shitty coins and crappy schemes all the time. But there's a reason why a lot of these people go out to larger celebrities or dead off, whatever, people with a somewhat active audience or a really active audience, like in Logan's case. And they basically get them to pimp out their audience or throw them into the lion's den just to enrich themselves even further. And this is one of those things where obviously, Logan has to take some accountability for. I mean, Jesus Christ, come the fuck on. But yeah, instead of that, Logan has decided to use a legal system to silence his critics. And this is one situation where, honest to God, I really hope this fucking scumbag doesn't win. But yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.